So I've just been kind of sitting in front of my computer for the last hour or so wanting to make a video, and every time I go to record, I realize my voice sounds kind of crummy. So I figured now would be a pretty good time to exercise my voice, because as you've noticed, I haven't been around in the last, I think it might have been like a year and a half or maybe even 2 years. I'm really not sure. That said, I feel like it's probably a good time for me to stretch my voice, because I have a nice video planned for Halloween, and a buddy of mine invited me on to his podcast, so I figure I should be in practice for that, or at least in practice speaking. So, that said, I figure something that I could talk about for, I don't know, like maybe 10-15 minutes while I warm myself up is Gamergate. Man, I feel weird just saying it out like that. So, anywho, if you haven't really noticed, I mean, I didn't until like 2 or 3 days ago, because I've been wrapped up in other non-gaming things, or gaming things that don't involve the actual gaming press, like Smash, for example. I can best describe this one as gaming the worst of collection, because initially this seems like it started out as some guy slinging really nasty things at the woman who made Depression Quest, which is it's kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's a gaming exploration of depression, which I haven't played. I'd like to play it. It sounds neat. I am one of those games is art guy, and not every game needs to be traditionally enjoyable. Not saying they shouldn't be good. They should be good. But in the same way, I feel like that's kind of like saying that every movie has to be funny or else it's bad. No, like as long as the game gets a emotionally satisfying result out of it, then it's, it's done its job, just like any other media. That's neither here nor there. So some guy was slinging some not too terribly kind things about her, I think sleeping with a Kotaku editor to get review scores or something to that effect. It's actually kind of funny because I think that might have been an episode of The Critic, the 90s cartoon. I think they had a crossover with The Simpsons where Sherman, the critic in the show The Critic, this beautiful actress sleeps with him, so Sherman will give him a good review score. And it was kind of funny in its own way because the life of a critic really isn't that glamorous. So something like that would be kind of absurd. Kind of like in the anime Yu-Gi-Oh! where like they're duking it out over like card games. Like that kind of thing just doesn't happen in real life. People aren't like, oh my god, it's Seto Kaiba. No one's ever beaten him in a duel before. I mean, I'm sure in the real life equivalent would be someone getting really excited over a one player, but it's really not like that. And it kind of applies the same to game critics in that I don't think people are really willing to sleep with you. But even if that was the case, people are really, really upset. Wow, I've made like 4 minutes and no progress talking about this. Well, whatever, it's a warm-up. If you like hearing the sound of my voice, well, here you go, because I know a lot of people apparently really like that. Yeah, apparently a lot of people are really upset about these, what are those things called? Accusations, which there's no real evidence for, but even if there was evidence, I don't think that really factors into it very much. Like, you're sleeping with this guy from review scores, and that kind of set off the spark, which I feel like you could probably see it coming from like a year ago, when the PS4 came out, of gamers being not so pleased with game critics, hey, you shouldn't be accepting things from people for reviews, which is true, but the thing about this one is that it seems like it's this thing that's good for conversation and something that we should be having as a group, period, is kind of being used as a big fat excuse to sling misogyny and not too kind things about our women homies around. Homies, that's a term we need to use more. Yeah, and Anita Sarkeesian, who by the way, she's the woman who does the video games, tropes versus video games. I'm doing a lot of stuttering. I don't know. I guess I'm just out of practice. A lot of people are really upset with her, like all the time. Like I really like her videos, but they seem to be upset for like no reason. Like she's like, oh, you're the problem with feminism. These crazy feminists. Yeah, Anita Sarkeesian, who does the tropes versus video games, or women. She assesses the tropes and things that apply to women in video games. And usually her series is really on the chill side. Like, it's just feminism 101 through the lens of video game critique, which a lot of people are really mad about for, like, no reason. I guess a lot of them see it as, like, an attack on the thing they like, although she said, meaning whatever, talk for a different day, I guess. Yeah, she pretty much said, hey, guys, that's no good. You can't just be like, man, look at these women up here sleeping with men to get stuff. And I guess guys just went batshit crazy and just sent like a threat to blow up a school or something like that. And for the first time in a very long time, or maybe ever even, I felt a little bit ashamed to call myself a gamer. And I suppose for a lot of people that also applied, because it also sparked the conversation. Well, not sparked, but at the same time the conversation going on, should we even call ourselves gamers? Which I'm on the side of yes, although I feel like there's no like credential outside of liking video games and wanting to identify yourself as one who enjoys video games as well. You know, in the same way that a movie buff or an avid reader do things like read a lot of books or watch a lot of movies and identify themselves as such, or at the very least, that kind of thing is something you spend a lot of your time thinking about and talking about. The point is, I felt really kind of embarrassed because it felt like we're showing the worst of our community. We're showing that when it comes to things like bullying, we don't really stand up against that. When it comes to things like blatant sexism, we just say, well, it's just one isolated incident. Or maybe if we're lucky, like maybe someone from Kotaku or Destructoid will say, hey guys, we shouldn't do that. And I don't know why my impression of a Kotaku or Destructoid journalist is like that of my Sonic the Hedgehog voice. That's no good. Blatant misogyny and hating on women is no good. Which is true, by the way. That's true. That, you know, you shouldn't be misogynistic. My mom is a woman. You shouldn't hate on women. All of my previous girlfriends were also women. So in my book, women have a very good track record of being awesome. And if you don't agree, then you're probably a big dumb butt. Yeah, like I was saying, a lot of people are really focused on, the woman who made Depressing Questions, Zoe Quinn and Anita Sarkeesian, which kind of brings up, like, hey, is this really about sexism? Well, yeah, because if it wasn't, then we wouldn't really be talking about it. Like, at the time of recording this, like about 7 hours ago, apparently Felicia Day got her, she's the actress behind like the Guild, and I think she was on Buffy too. She does a lot of gaming. She's known for doing a lot of gaming things, and also she's friends with Mark Rosewater, who is the head developer behind Magic the Gathering, but that's neither here nor there. Like, just for saying that, hey, I don't really want to talk about this because I don't want people to dump my personal information online as an attack, people then went to take her personal information and then dump it online as an attack. And that, again, is no good. And you may be thinking, oh, well, that's not really misogyny, that's just bullying. Well, yeah, it is bullying, although that's not exactly a good thing. when men who would step up and say, "Hey, you guys are being dickholes." I think one ex-NFL player, I don't know his name because I don't know anything about football, but this guy, he's my new favorite player, although I don't think he plays anymore. Pretty much said, "Hey, everybody who is a big dumb sexist and is mad at women for reasons, or you're deliberately only attacking women, you're, what did he call him? Like a poop sock smelling dick weasel." That's a great insult. I like that. Like, no one really seems to be that bothered when a man says it, but when a woman says it, it's suddenly a big deal. I mean, and maybe one person, maybe you, one viewer, may not be sexist yourselves, but because we as a community let this kind of stuff happen, it kind of makes us all look really, really bad. And that's no good. And what I was saying before I got really sidetracked, but that's okay, was that the whole gaming journalism ethics thing, I feel like for other form of medium, like other form of media, I mean, like books, movies, radio, maybe, I don't know anything about radio, we kind of know when someone is dropping like non-accurate information based on things like bribery or like someone doing sexual favors for you. We kind of know to just maybe ignore their opinion because they're very prone to giving non-accurate results. That's not too much different from academic cheating. Like if someone does something that would indicate that they're not citing a valid source, then you ignore them, but instead we choose to pick on something that's not the problem, that we don't really have any evidence for, as opposed to attacking something that is the problem. I believe Jim Sterling of The Escapist, who I really like, you should check him out, did a video on this a few weeks ago. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago, I'm not sure. Where he was talking about the new Lord of the Rings games. I believe it's called Shadow of Mordor, which is just Lord of the Rings Creed, apparently. Where Warner Brothers would send out early review copies, and the terms and conditions of reviewing, or rather having a review copy, was if you put out a review, you have to say really nice things about the game. You can't show any bugs, you can't say anything negative, and just generally editing the opinions of the journalist. Well, maybe journalist is going too far, but I'm going to say journalist because if you're doing news based on a game, then I feel like you're a journalist on some level. Maybe a low tier journalist, like I don't know who's a low tier Smash character, like Ganondorf. Wait, no, that makes you sound cool. You know what? Small level journalist, you sound cool. You were the Ganondorf of journaling. You big fat pigs. Yeah, you're like attacking these very small developers like Zoe Quinn instead of attacking these very large corporations who could totally bribe the hell out of you. Like, what is a one person really gonna bribe? Like a sex? Sure, I guess. But I feel like that's, even if it was true, which I'm willing to bet my fucking right arm that it's not, we're kind of looking over to things that actually could be a problem. Although admittedly, I don't think sending reviewers an early copy of something is inherently bad. It's when sending in an early copy of them means you have to put out a good review or else he won't give you another one. I think that is bad. Not illegal, but pretty bad. Makes you look kind of really scummy. I feel like I had a lot more to say, but I just don't, or at least not right now. Like, more will come to mind as I think about it. And maybe when this all blows over, I'll do something neat about it. Like, as I'm pretty sure I've mentioned before, I do like me some sociology, and I generally like to keep my ear on the gaming community because I feel like we as a group are just fantastic people. But unfortunately, for every wonderful thing, like a very inclusive place like Penny Arcade, except for that one time. Wait, did I say? No, I'm sorry, not Penny Arcade. Oh my god. No, those guys are pretty sexist, if I do say so myself. like PAX Expo, what I meant. PAX, Penny Arcade Expo. We can go from something wonderfully inclusive like that and things like Child's Play, or we can have Gamergate, where I feel like we're showing the worst parts of our community, where we allow things like bullying and rampant sexism and editing people's opinions to go on. But I don't think that's entirely bad. I feel like the more we talk about ourselves as a community and understand that there are still many barriers going between us, I feel like that will, in the long run, make us stronger, because if we don't have the ability to talk about something, then we don't have the ability to overcome it. So I guess that's all I really have to say today. And I'm trying to get back into the groove of doing things. You may be asking yourself, oh, by the way, that's the end of Gamergate. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. You may be asking yourself, hey, dude, what happened? Where have you been? Well, it really doesn't matter. I guess I just haven't had the motivation to do anything. I've had a lot of life changes, and I honestly don't really want to do LPs anymore. Of course, that's not the end of me making videos, as you can see here. But yeah, I want to make new stuff. I'm working on something now. Not that you guys really care until the finished product is there for you to watch. But yeah, all you people have a fantastic day. Unless, of course, you don't want to. If you don't want to, then don't. You are an adult. Or maybe not. Dude, I don't. Do what you do. Because I can't tell you to be happy, and I can't tell you to be sad. But it is my preference if you have a good day, as opposed to a bad day.